Hi guys, I'm Holly and thank you so much for joining me at Women's Health Live, a virtual event. I'm going to be taking you through a Pilates PT method workout. So it's a combination of cardio and Pilates. You will need to have a yoga mat, some water because you're definitely going to get hot and sweaty and out of breath. I would recommend you have your hair tied up nice and tight, which is why my hair is in this lovely top knot. And ideally, I'd like you to wear just a sports bra. You need a good sports bra, otherwise you're going to be holding your boobs the whole way through. And the reason I want you to just wear a sports bra is so that you can see what's going on in your abdominals when we do some of the Pilates work down on the floor. So ideally, just wear your sports bra. Other than that, you need bags of energy and an open mind. And we're going to start with a warm-up first of all. So when you're ready, make sure there's nothing else on your mat, you've got a little bit of space. And we're just going to start by jogging on the spot. The arms are nice and loose down by the side of the body. Maybe give them a little bit of a shake out your shoulders and shake off any tension from the day. And I just want you to start thinking about the way that the feet move. So when you land, I want you to be really gentle and light. So as you land, the feet spread. So the bones of the feet start to spread out. And then the muscles recoil and lift you up. So try to keep that essence going, that bounciness, that lightness underneath your feet. Again, now's the time just to make sure that your hair is nice and tight and out of the way so it doesn't start to fall out. And just start to think about your breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Now I want you to start to take your knees up a little bit higher until they're up in line with your hips. So maybe lean backwards so that you can counterbalance slightly. And if you have your hands up at hip height, that will give you a guide of how high to take those hips. Now, I'm always going to hold back just a touch, okay, so I can keep talking, but I want you to be going at 100% throughout. So lean backwards, knees a little bit higher, and start to breathe. We're warming up our hip flexors. Final 4, 3, 2, and jog it out. Now take your hands behind your bum and start to do the opposite. Start to kick the heels in towards the hands, and if you lean forwards, you'll be able to get those feet up a little bit higher. So now we're starting to warm up the hamstrings and loosen off the knees and the quads. Again, focus on the breath, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we're going to go for your final 5, maybe a little bit faster. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to jogging and then come to a stop. Now, feet are going to be hip distance apart and parallel. I want you to squat down, reach the arms forwards, and as you come up, draw big circles with the arms. Come down and reach, and again, big circles with these arms. Come down and press. So as you do this, I want the weight to be in the heel of your foot. So maybe we keep the toes lifted up off the floor. And just watch that when you're at the bottom of your squat, you're not sticking out your bum like a duck. You're keeping a neutral pelvis. And at the top, as we circle the arms, we keep the rib cage drawn in. So don't lean backwards here. Now we can do a couple more of these. Starting to warm up those hamstrings, glutes and quads. Now the next one, I want you to come down. I want you to hold it here. Tiny little pulses here. Relax the shoulders, keep the weight in the back of the foot. 4, 3, 2, last one, hold, and come up and finish it off. Now move to the end of your mat. We're going to come into your lunges. I want you to step one foot forwards and the opposite arm reaches up into the air. So it's opposite arm, opposite leg. Now with this stride, it wants to be enough that you feel a stretch through your back hip flexor, but just make sure you're not going so far that you're losing your balance or overextending your spine. So try and keep your spine nice and neutral, no popping the rib cage, and breathe. We're going to go final 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Now take your feet nice and wide along your mat, as wide as is comfortable for you. Hands to prayer position. We're going to bend one leg, straighten the other. I'm going to rotate towards the bent knee. So I've got one leg bent, one leg straight, and I twist and twist. So you should feel the stretch on the inside of your straight leg. So you're stretching out your adductor, your inner thigh. And by rotating through that lower back, you're starting to warm up the lower back muscles. And twist and twist. Now, final 4, you should be feeling a little bit warmer now, a bit more out of breath. 3, 2, 1, and come back to jogging for me. Now we're going to turn this jog into a sprint in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. The arms and the legs moving. Focus on your breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, and jog it out for me. Shake out those arms. We're going to sprint again in 3, 2, let's go. Arms and legs moving. The more you move your arms, the higher the heart rate. Final 4, 3, 2, and jog it out. We've got 1 more. Final 3, 2, and sprint. Now make this your fastest one for me. 4, keep going guys. 3, even faster. 2, 1, come to a jog. Slowly come to a stop and rest. Now have a quick sip of water. Just make sure you only take sips so you don't feel nauseous. Now I'm going to demonstrate your first 3 HIIT exercises and then we'll do them all together. So use this time just to slow your breath back down. The first exercise, skaters. Just make sure that your yoga mat doesn't slip. If it does, maybe move onto the floor. And we're just going to jump from one end of the mat to the other. Going from one foot to the other. And the arms reach out. Now my mat does slip a little bit, so I'm not going to jump too far, but ideally I want you jumping right to the ends of your mat. Second exercise, floor to ceiling. You bend your knees, touch the floor, check there's no light above your head, and then jump up and try to touch the ceiling, okay? Final exercise, we're on our bums, we lean backwards. We lift the legs and we imagine we're a monkey climbing up a rope. So, when you're ready, skaters first of all, one end of your mat, 3, 2, 1. Jump from one leg to the other, explosive jumps. So this is not about speed, guys. I don't want you to be going super fast. Instead, I want the movement to be really explosive. So when you land, go low, and then think about jumping nice and high out of that skater. If you're losing your balance a little bit, you can always pop your foot on the floor when you land for balance. Otherwise, keep that other leg off the floor. Jump a bit further for me, guys. You're nearly there. Final 5, 3, 2, 1. Floor to ceiling. Bend the knees, touch the floor. Big explosive jumps. Reach up to the ceiling. All the way down and all the way up. Try and keep the heels off the floor so that you're able to spring, and it will also help you come lower and you won't have your calves holding you back. Nearly there, guys. We've got 10 seconds, then we're flipping over to sit down on our bums. Try and get 2 more out for me. 1 more onto your bums. Now, lean backwards, legs up, arms up, and imagine you're a monkey climbing a rope. So you've got your abs working here, the hip flexors. But if your hip flexors are starting to cramp, you can do this with your feet on the floor. If the monkey rope kind of analogy is not working for you, imagine that you're a fireman climbing up a pole. 10 seconds to go, guys, then you get a rest. 5, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Have a quick breather. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And then have a quick sip of water. Now we're going to come into some Pilates. You've got 3 rounds of HIIT spread out over this session. That's your first one done. Okay, so we're going to lie down on our backs. Get yourselves nice and comfortable. Knees bent, feet flat down on the floor. And just bring your hands onto your rib cage, a finger between each bone, and rest your hands flat on here. Now as you breathe in, I want you to breathe into your hands. Feel your ribs open out to the sides of the room. As you exhale, breathe out through the mouth. And go again. Breathe in through the nose, the ribs open out wide. And as you exhale, those ribs should draw back in and down as you breathe out through the mouth. A couple more big breaths here. It's that circular movement of the breath. So if you're used to doing yoga and you're used to breathing in and out through your nose, just try and get this circular breath going for me. 1 more. And as you exhale, the ribs close in and down. Now take your hands down to your pelvis. And I want you to take the heel of your hands onto your hip bones and your fingers onto your pubic bone. So you've drawn a triangle with the hands here. Now rock your pelvis backwards and forwards, okay? Quite exaggerated. And then find the point where the pelvis lies flat. So if I put a cup of tea between your hands, that cup of tea would not spill. Now this is your neutral pelvis. Some of you will have a big arch between your back and the floor. Some of you will be much smaller. We're all different. And I want you to float your arms up into the air. Now double check the rib cage hasn't started to pop out. As you exhale, the arms are going to go over your head as far as you can keep your rib cage in. And on the inhale, bring the arms back to the ceiling. Again, exhale, the arms go over the head. Inhale, they come back up to the ceiling. Now, as my arms go over my head, my rib cage wants to lift and go with it, but I'm using my abdominals to stop that happening. So as the arms reach over, try to really maintain that abdominal connection and don't let your rib cage start to pop up through the skin. Now the next one, guys, take those arms back and hold. And if your arms are all the way on the floor, you know you've cheated, because to get your arms to touch the ground, you have to pop your ribs. So make sure you've still got that connection, and then bring the arms back into the air. Now take your hands down to your pelvis, find your imprint. To imprint, we imagine that cup of tea between our hands again, and we try to tilt the pelvis backwards so the tea spills onto our tummies. And hold it there. Now here, your obliques should be shortened, so you should feel your abs are switched on. The arms come back into the air, we float one leg to tabletop, keep imprint, bring the other leg to join it. Now on your next exhale, straighten one of your legs out to the end of the mat, inhale, bring it back in. Now exhale, take the other leg away, and then inhale, bring it back in. Exhale to extend, inhale to bend. So as I reach my leg away now, it becomes more challenging to maintain my imprint. What I see happen a lot is this: as the leg reaches away, the back starts to arch away from the ground. Don't allow that. Your lower back may or may not touch the floor, but whatever it is in imprint, it needs to stay that way as your leg moves. Now, if you want to work harder, add the arm in. So left arm and left leg reach away. Inhale, they come back in. Exhale, right arm, right leg. Inhale, bring them back in. So now I have to control my rib cage using my abdominals. And I need to maintain imprint using my abdominals. So this should feel harder. Now, if you want to work even harder, both arms and both legs. Inhale, bring them in. But just make sure that if you're going for this hardest option, you're keeping your form, because otherwise you lose the essence of the exercise. You stop using your abdominals and you'll just start to feel it in your hip flexors, in your lower back, and you'll be muscling through rather than doing the exercise properly. We're going to do 2 more of these. Now the next one, guys, take it out and hold it. If you're still doing single legs, that's fine. Swap the single legs in 3, 2, single leg swap. Everyone else keep holding now for 3, 2, 1, and hug your knees into your chest. Gently roll around on your lower back, just have a quick stretch out. And then lower the feet back down to the floor and re-find your neutral pelvis again. Fingers to temples, elbows wide. Now on your inhale, give yourself a double chin. And as you exhale, lift your head and shoulders up away from the floor and stay here. Now here, I want you to do a body scan. I want you to look down at your pelvis. Is it still neutral? What I don't want is you all the way up here. That's actually cheating. So bring it back down and make sure that you're not digging your lower back into the floor. Look at your tummy. Are your abdominals nice and flat? Okay, that's what we're aiming for here. Don't let them dome. Think about your collarbone. Is it nice and wide? Are you imagining showing off a lovely necklace or showing off your boobs? And your elbows, you should barely be able to see them because they are out in line with your ears. Now we're going to inhale to hold it here, and as you exhale, slowly lower back down. Now on the inhale, we double chin. Exhale, we lift the head and shoulders up. Inhale, hold it. And then exhale, control the release back down. Inhale, head nod. Exhale to curl up. Inhale to stay. And exhale to release. So it's a nice slow movement, but slow does not mean easy here. Slow means hard. What we're doing is we're building up endurance in the abdominals. So as we move, we're doing a quick body scan at the top. We're checking our technique. And by adding in that hold at the top, we're really working on that endurance. We don't just want power in the abdominals. We want endurance because they're working for what, 18 hours a day? Now the next one, I want you all to come up, and then I want you to hold. Take your hands behind your head, so your hands are stacked one on top of the other. Now make sure you're not using your arms to hold yourself up here. You're resting your head in your hands. On your next exhale, rotate the upper body to the left. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, rotate to the right. Inhale, back to center. Keep going. Exhale, twist to the left, back to center.
Exhale, twist to the right. Now we're going to keep this going, but I want you to focus on those elbows staying nice and wide. What I see wrong a lot is this. I see people moving their arms, but actually what I want you to be doing is rotating the trunk. Twist. Now even yourself off. Make sure you've done the same on each side. And now everyone turn to their left and stay. Hold it for 3, 2, come back to center, twist to the right. Hold it for 3, 2, come back to center, come down, and take a full body stretch. Let the arms go over your head, let your rib cage lift up, stretch your abdominals and reach your legs away from you. And then when you're ready, bring it all back in. Now we're going to grab the legs from behind, we're going to come up to seated, we're going to continue with the abdominals, but rather than lying on our back, we're upright, so you'll feel it less in your neck. From here, find the middle of your mat, just pull the flesh away from your sit bones, okay, so that you can really find the sit bones at the top. We're going to sit up nice and tall, reach the arms forwards, and relax the shoulders down. Now right now my spine is straight. I actually want my spine in a C shape now. So imagine that you're diving over a beach ball or a pregnant tummy. Keep the C curve, you're going to breathe in, and then as you exhale, you're going to roll back, keeping this C curve as far as you can keep your feet on the floor. And then inhale, come all the way back up and find those sit bones again, no further forwards than that. Again, exhale, you're going to start to roll back, keeping this C curve. Inhale to come all the way back up. So the challenge here is maintaining this C shape with your spine. If you're lying all the way down onto your back, you've gone too far because you will have straightened out there and you've lost the essence of the exercise. It's about maintaining this C curve, so keep the tailbone tucked under. And I really want you to think about the distance between your ribs and your hips. Keep it short, the same as you would if you were doing ab prep, okay? So it's an abdominal exercise. We're going to do a couple more of these. Now, if you have a stiff lower back, you will probably feel that this is quite challenging, but it's a really good exercise for you because it stretches out the lumbar extensors. So it stretches out the muscles that will be tight. Now, the next one, we're going to go back, we're going to hold. Again, double check you're still in this C curve and then stay. Now, as you exhale, float the arms up into the air. Inhale, lower them back down. Same again, exhale, float the arms up. And inhale, lower them down. You should feel that as the arms lift up, this gets more challenging. You might even get the shake of truth at the top like I do, and that's telling you you're right at the edge of your limit of ability. Now, on the next one, we're going to lift those arms up. We're going to hold them there to finish. 3, 2, lower the hands, come all the way up, and then flex over your legs, head between your knees, and just have a quick stretch out. Now, we're coming into our second round of HIIT. So have a quick sip of water and get ready. I'm going to demonstrate those 3 exercises for you, okay? So the first exercise, jumping jacks, you've probably all done these a million times. Slight bend at the elbow, hands touch over your head, and make sure you're not leaning back as you do it. Try and keep your rib cage pulled in. Next exercise, split punch. So I've got my opposite arm and my opposite leg out in front of me, then I swap them over. So I'm always opposite arm, opposite leg, reaching out in front. Final exercise, we're either in a full or half plank. There is nothing wrong with half plank here. Shoulder taps. So opposite hand taps the opposite shoulder and you're keeping your hips nice and still. So choose your plank wisely. So we're going with jumping jacks first of all. 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Nice and soft and bouncy here. So there's a misconception with HIIT and cardio that it has to be really aggressive for it to be effective. But what I want you to think about here is being really bouncy, really soft as you land. So you take that aggression out of the exercise and it is still really challenging. You're still moving your whole body, so your heart rate has to lift high and it doesn't have to be that it's aggressive. Now 10 seconds left and then we'll be taking the opposite arm and the opposite leg out in front of us. 3, 2, 1. So opposite arm, opposite leg. And we switch, switch, switch. So the body, again, is always moving. Now I want you to imagine someone in front of you that you are punching. So effort through these punches. I want them to be really kind of forceful. So we're not just kind of marching with the arms. They come from the chest. Now 10 seconds left, then we're coming into our plank position. Remember, you've got full or half plank. 3, 2, 1. So into your plank position. Now opposite hand to opposite shoulder, keeping those hips nice and still. So activate the glutes, engage the core, and I would much rather you did the half plank option well than the full plank option ropey. So I still consider myself postnatal. Freya's 11 months old, but I'm still breastfeeding. So I would rather have my half plank option and do it properly and not worry about my back hurting tomorrow. 5, 3, 2, 1, and take a child's pose. Sit back on your heels, walk your fingers up the mat, have a nice breather here. And then hands by your shoulders and push yourself up. Now we're going to come have a quick sip of water. And then we're coming into sideline leg work. If you've ever done my class before, you know I love sideline leg work because these muscles don't get a great amount of work done during the day. We're going to start lying on our left hand side. So everyone on your left. Now you have options with your head. You can do this option here where you have your head in your hands. Now this isn't technically the best position, but it's easiest for me to talk. Ideally I would want you here. So the arm extended along the ground and the head on the shoulder like a pillow. But choose what feels good for you. Now I want the hips stacked one on top of the other, and then we're going to straighten out the legs and have them just slightly in front of us, so look a bit like a banana. My hips are stacked, I've got a little lift under my waist, and my right hand is on the floor for support. Now from here, I'm just going to exhale to lift my right leg up just past hip height, and then inhale, lower it back down. Again, I'm going to exhale to lift that right leg up, inhale to lower it down. Now you'll notice I'm not going all Jane Fonda on you, okay? I'm not lifting my leg up towards my ear. And the reason for that is that we should have a bit of lift under our waist so that if we were in an X-ray machine right now, our spine would be horizontal and neutral. As soon as I take my leg any higher than that, I actually start to dip my waist, and then the movement's coming from my lower back rather than from my hip. So let's imagine we've put a mouse under the left-hand side of our waist, not a computer mouse, a fluffy mouse, and we don't want to squash him. Now you'll notice that my ankle is pointed, but my toes aren't. I'm going to keep my toes nice and relaxed, and I'd like you to as well, and it just stops you from getting cramp. So my ankle is pointed, but again, I'm leaving my toes alone. Now every time I lift this leg, what I should feel is the muscles in the side of my hip working, my hip abductors. The hips should stay perfectly stacked, one on top of the other. And remember that mouse, he doesn't get squashed. Now at first, this probably feels fine, you know, you're like, okay, this is easy, I can do this. But you should start to feel some heat coming soon because we're going to change the choreography slightly. We're going to exhale to lift the top leg. Now at the top, flex the ankle, really push the heel away, and then inhale, lower the leg back down. Point the ankle at the bottom, lift the leg on the exhale, flex the ankle, inhale, lower the leg down. Keep this going. So we lift with a pointed ankle, we lower with a flexed ankle. So now we're starting to get the calf involved, and we're also working the muscle at the front of the shin, okay? So you might start to feel something happening around the ankle and just above. And also that bum should be starting to get a little bit hotter. Now, I've taught this to you guys as a staggered movement, but now I want you to start blending it into a bit of a flow. Point, lift, flex, lower. So the leg is always moving. It's almost like the foot's a paintbrush here. Remember that lift under the waist. Try not to squash your mouse. Final 3, 2, next one, lift and hold. Now flex the ankle. Look down at the foot, make sure it's parallel to the ground, and gently pulse it here. If you have any energy left in that bum, my glutes are on fire. Final 4, 3, 2, last one, hold it, and then relax the leg down. Give your bum a bit of a rub, maybe even a punch if that feels nice for you. And then when you're ready, use your hands to push yourself up to seated. Now we're going to come over to 4-point kneeling, so hands and knees. So we're going to work that glute just once more. So the wrists are under the shoulders, the knees are underneath the hips. And then look at where your wrists are. I want you to come down and put your elbows there instead. So you're 4-point kneeling, but on your forearms. Now we just worked the right glute. We're going to continue with that side. So from here, bend your right knee. As you exhale, you lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. And then inhale, lower it back down to kiss the ground. And then exhale, lift it back up again. Now as you do this, just make sure you're not dipping through your lower back. So something I see done wrong an awful lot is I see people doing this and dipping into their lumbar spine. Now that's just going to make your lower back ache tomorrow morning. Instead, activate your abdominals. So they're going to help keep you neutral, and try to maintain neutral throughout and move only from your right glute. So your bum is lifting the leg, not your lower back. If you're starting to feel this through the shoulders, feel like you're pressing down into the ground. Activate the shoulder stabilizers and maybe shift some of the weight into your left knee so that you're not all the weight in your arms. 2 more of these. Now the last one, guys, we're going to lift that leg. We're going to hold it there for a moment and gently pulse. Again, really switch on the abdominals to stop the lower back dipping too much. 4, 3, 2. Last one, hold it here, guys. And then lower that knee down. Take a child's pose here for me. And just gently rock your hips side to side, slightly twisting them so that you can loosen off those hips. And then use your hands to push yourself up to kneeling. Now we're going to come into push-up preps here. I want you in a half plank position with your hands shoulder width apart and your fingers together. So from here, my shoulders are above my wrists. I'm in a diagonal line from knees to shoulders. Turn the creases of your arms to point forwards. Now from here, to the count of 3, we're going to bend the elbows into the body. So we're going to go down for 3 counts, up for 1. So we go down for 3, exhale up for 1. Keep this going. So this is a tricep push-up. The elbows are tucked into the side of the body, so it's the triceps that work to press you up. Keep this going. Double check your technique here. So make sure you're still in a half plank. You've not started to overextend or hunch. And by all means, if you're feeling super strong, you could do this in a full plank position, but I tend to find people lose their technique, and so it's really not worth it. 2 more of these, guys. Keep it going and press. Last one. Make sure your abs are engaged, and then sit back into that child's pose position here. Give your wrists a bit of a rotate if they need it at all, and then use your hands to push yourself up to kneeling. Maybe have a quick drink if you want it, and then we're coming over to lie on our right hand side. So we're lying on our right. Remember, you've got those options with your head. You can rest your head in your hands. You can extend the arm along the floor and rest your head on your shoulder, whichever's more comfortable for you. The legs are straight. If you know what you're doing, just get going straight away. So the legs are straight and they're just slightly in front of you like a banana, and you've stuck a furry mouse under the right hand side of your waist. From here, you exhale to lift the top leg, and then inhale, you lower it back down. Exhale to lift, and inhale to lower. So as we lift that leg up, remember, it's not about getting it really, really high, okay? It's about maintaining your posture through the rest of the body. So if you are a swan right now on a lake, everything's happening from the waist down, but from the waist up, you look the same, you look calm and controlled. And again, we're not going Jane Fonda, so we're not taking the leg all the way up into the air. And I wonder how many of you guys remember Jane Fonda. So it's one of my earliest memories of exercising at home with my mum. We'd do the Jane Fonda workout. And if you do remember, you may even remember what they used to wear, what was fashionable back then. It was quite literally leggings and a thong leotard, so like a thong swimming costume over the top. So imagine like you were quite literally giving yourself a wedgie on purpose. So I'm very glad that's not the fashion anymore. So just double check that mouse has not got squashed under your waist. He's got a little bit of space there. And again, the reason for that is that we're keeping our spines neutral. So the horizontal line, we're not bending to the sides. Now we're going to add that choreography in, okay? So remember, we exhale to lift the leg. Now we flex the ankle and we inhale, lower the leg. Point the ankle, lift, flex and lower, and keep this going. Now as the leg lifts up, just remember to keep that waist lifted. So try not to start moving from your lower back. Keep it all in that left hip. And now we smooth it out. So get it into a bit of a flow. So up, point, flex, lower. So it's like the leg is or the foot's a paintbrush and you're constantly moving it. 4 more, make sure you're breathing. 3, 2, last one, lift it up and hold. Flex the ankle and gently pulse this leg if you've got any energy left in that bum. 4, 3, 2, last one, hold. And then relax that leg down. Give the bum a quick rub or punching it. Looks weird but feels amazing. And then use your hands to push yourself up to kneeling. Now we're coming back over to 4-point kneeling. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And then when you're ready, you just come down onto your forearms so the elbows go where your hands were. So you're still 4-point kneeling, but now you're on your forearms instead. Now from here, we bend our left knee. And as you exhale, we're going to lift that left leg up into the air. Inhale, lower it back down. Exhale to lift. And inhale to lower. So whilst you're doing this, remember that lower back. Try not to dip into it. Try and keep it really neutral. And the best way to do that is to engage your abdominal muscles. So don't allow the ribs and hips to move away from each other. Exhale up, inhale down. Now your hamstring is working to keep your left knee bent, but it's the glute that lifts the leg. If you're feeling it in your shoulders, remember you can really activate the shoulder stabilizers by just sort of pressing down into the floor. So feel as if you're trying to lift your chest away from the ground. And if that doesn't help, you can sit your weight back into your right leg a bit more so there's less weight going through those arms. We're going to do 4 more of these. You might feel that your right glute is getting a little bit tired now because it was stabilizing a lot here and it's already been worked. Now the next one, lift and hold and tiny pulses here. Nothing else moves. Lift from the bum. 4, 3, 2, last one. Let's hold it here and then slowly lower it down. Take a child's pose. Sit back on those heels and just wiggle your hips from side to side. Allow your forehead to come down towards the floor. And then use your hands to push yourself all the way back up to kneeling. Now have a quick sip of water. We're going to do an exercise that's for your posture. So maybe you're working from home a lot at the moment, or maybe you just in general are sat at a desk or on your phones too much. So I'd like you to sit comfortably. Now for some of us, cross-legged is comfortable. For others, it might be that we have to have the legs in a frog position, and others might have to have their legs in front, whichever's most comfortable for you. Now take your arms into a cactus position. So the elbows are at 90 degrees and so are the shoulders. So don't let the elbows fall too low. Now look to your sides and just make sure your wrists are in line with the elbows here. So it's almost like we're pressed up against a wall or a window. From here, we're going to inhale to rotate the arms so that the forearms are parallel to the floor. And then as you exhale, you bring those arms back up to that start position. Again, inhale, rotate the arms so that the forearms face the floor. Exhale, bring them back up and try and get the hands in line with the elbows. So the rotation here is coming from the shoulder. It's nice and slow and controlled. And what we're doing is we're stretching out the muscles that make us look like we hunch, so the muscles in the front of the shoulder, but we're also strengthening the muscles at the back that kind of fix your posture, so that work against those tight muscles. And at first you might not feel much, and that's completely fine. And remember, when you turn the arms up, it's almost like you're trying to press yourself against a wall. Now for some of us, the furthest back we can get our arms might be here. That's fine if you're really tight. The more you do these though, the easier they'll become. And just watch those ribs aren't starting to lift and float up. That means you're leaning backwards. Try and keep your ribs drawn in. Now we're going to do one more, and on the next one, bring those arms back up to the start position, hold it here. Now from here, reach the arms up into a V shape and then pull them down into a W shape. So exhale up into a V, inhale down into a W. And imagine that you are pressed between 2 sheets of glass here, so don't let the arms come backwards and forwards as they move. They slide up and they slide down. Now we're going to do 2 more of these. Reach up and slide them down. Watch those ribs. Last one, guys. Now bring yourself back to cactus and hold and pulse these arms up and down. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Keep it going. Keep the core engaged. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, hold, and then relax the arms down and just give those shoulders a quick shrug and roll. Now I want to do one more ab exercise before we do your final round of HIIT. Now we've been building up to this slightly because we've been mobilizing the spine, so we've been getting the back moving, but we've also warmed up the abdominals. So you're going to sit, first of all, with your legs out in front of you and your feet flexed. And that's going to help you anchor your legs down. And then just carefully come and lie down on your back for a moment. Now from here, we're going to have the arms up in the air, just like we did at the very beginning. Take the arms back as far as you can keep the rib cage drawn in, so don't pop your ribs. Now from here, I'm going to inhale my arms up to the ceiling, and as I exhale, I start to curl all the way up to seated and reach for my toes. Now keep this C curve that you've drawn like we did earlier on, and start to roll back on your inhale And then use your exhale to slow it down and come all the way back to the start position. Watch those ribs. Inhale, the arms come up. Exhale, start to peel the spine away from the floor. Reach for the toes. Inhale, start rolling back. Keep the C curve. Use your abdominals. Exhale to keep it nice and slow. So this is a nice, slow, controlled movement. We're using our abdominals and our hip flexors to curl up. And the spine is having to move a vertebra at a time. So it's really great for mobility. Now don't worry if it's looking a bit like this, okay? If you're getting stuck in that lower back, then that's completely normal. What you could do is bend your knees a little bit, that might help. Or you might find that you have to use a little bit of momentum, okay? So it's not the end of the world if you're using your arms a little bit to get through, but we don't really want to do that for the long term. So ideally we want to be using our abdominals and moving as slowly as we can. Now we're going to do a couple more of these. Remember, adapt it if you need to. And if you are just doing the initial movement, this bit and down, that's fine because you're still working the right muscles. We're going to do one more. When you finish this one, I want you to stay seated. Reach for your toes. Bring your head down between your knees or between your arms and hold it here. And just take a hamstring stretch. Breathing into it for 3, 2, and then restack back up. Have a quick sip of water, guys. You've got your final round of HIIT. So for this, we'll be standing again. Let me quickly demonstrate those 3 exercises. Knee pull. I want you to imagine you're sat on a bar stool. So you're not sat on a chair, you're in a baby squat position. Your weight's in your right leg, left leg's behind you, arms are overhead. And then you pull the left knee into the chest and it's knee pull, okay? Then we'll do the other leg. So arms are overhead, the right leg is behind you and you pull the leg into the chest. Your final exercise, I'm going to give you 2 options. The easier option if this next exercise is too much is just to do your jacks again. Ideally, we're going to do starburst. The feet are in a V shape. We come down, we jump up into a star shape, and we land with the feet back together again. So if that feels uncomfortable for you, you can always take the jump out and just do this kind of star, or you can do jumping jacks. So when you're ready, feet hip distance apart, sit down into kind of this little baby squat position, or imagine you're on a bar stool. Weight on your right leg, arms overhead, left leg behind you. 3, 2, 1, we pull that left leg in and pull and pull. Now, as you're doing this, guys, try not to bob up and down too much. Stay low in your right leg. And with the arms, imagine there's resistance here. Imagine that you're pulling down on springs or pulling on resistance bands. Make sure you're breathing the whole time. We're going to go for final 5, then swap legs in 3, 2, 1, switch it over. Right leg back, pull, pull. If you're not sure when you're supposed to be moving your arms, try to bring your hands to your knee, and that will just help you find your rhythm again. Almost there. Make sure you're breathing. We've got 5 seconds, then starbursts. 3, 2, 1. Feet in a V shape, come down, touch the floor. Big explosive jump into a star shape, and then land back with the feet in that V shape and turn out. Now remember, if this doesn't feel good for you, take the jump out and just do the initial star, or you can do jumping jacks if that feels less impact for you. Listen to your body, there's an option for everyone. Let's try and do 3 more, guys. Legs should be on fire, last 2. 1 more, and rest. Have a quick sip of water, catch your breath. And now we're going to be coming back down onto the floor. So, let's finish with a little bit of mobility and stretching. We're going to come onto 4-point kneeling again, but this time we're going to stay on our hands. So, the wrists are under the shoulders, the knees are under the hips, and just make sure your back is nice and neutral to begin with. Now we're going to breathe in. As you exhale, I want you to round your spine into a cat stretch and hold it here. Tuck your tailbone under, scoop your belly button in and press into those arms and hold it here. Slow that breath back down. Now 1 more big breath here. The next time you inhale, come back to neutral. And then exhale, come into extension. So now we're
pressing the chest forwards, lifting up the tailbone. My eye line is forwards, but it's not back too far. Try not to sling your head back. Try and keep the neck in the same smooth curve as the rest of the body. Couple more big breaths. And then on your next inhale, come back to neutral. So now we're going to move with the breath. On the exhale, round the spine. Inhale, come back to neutral. Exhale, extend the spine. Inhale, come back to neutral. Exhale, flex. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, extend. And inhale, neutral. Keep it going, guys. So you're trying to get your spine moving here. Make sure it's not just one section of it as well. Try to think about the entire spine. Thinking about the crown of your head to your very tailbone. One more each way. Last one. Come back to neutral and stay here. Now take your left hand, turn the palm to face upwards and point your fingers under your right armpit for thread the needle. Here we're going to reach this left arm underneath the right arm as far as we can go. We're going to come all the way down onto our shoulder and our ear and we're going to stay. Now keep reaching that left arm underneath the body, twisting your spine and breathing into it. 3, 2, now use your right arm to push yourself all the way back up, other arm. Right hand on the floor, palm facing upwards. Thread the needle, reach underneath that left armpit. Rest your head and your shoulder on the floor and twist and keep twisting and keep reaching. 3, 2, and then slowly come all the way back up. Now take your knees as wide as your mat, sit back into your child's pose. And again, walk your hands forwards. Feel that gorgeous stretch through the spine as you lengthen it out. And again, if you've been working from home a lot, you'll find that you've been hunching over, looking down at your laptop. Maybe you don't have your usual setup at home. So this extension of the spine should feel lovely. Now use your hands to push yourself up to kneeling. Now we're going to flip over and stretch out the glutes. So roll onto your back. Now find your neutral pelvis to begin with. So find your neutral, then take your right ankle over your left knee. From here, lift your left leg up to tabletop, but just make sure you're still in neutral. So what I see a lot here is people arching their lower back and going into imprint. Instead, find your neutral and you'll probably get a much better stretch. Now, if your leg is here and you're still not feeling a glute stretch and you know you're in neutral, you can grab the leg, but what I don't want you to do is this. Instead, try to stay neutral and stretch here, because we want to be flexible in a neutral position, because there's no point being flexible here, because otherwise when I'm standing, I'm only going to be flexible when I'm hunched over. Just breathe here for 3, 2, and then gently release and swap it over. So left ankle over right knee. Again, check your neutral. Float your right leg to tabletop. Check you're still neutral. If you're still not feeling it, grab your leg. But often, people don't feel it purely because they've dug their back into the ground or their bum has lifted off the floor. If that's you, take that tailbone back down to the floor and you'll instantly feel a deeper stretch. 3, breathing here. 2, and then release. Put your hands behind your legs, roll up onto your bums and flip yourselves onto your front, back to 4-point kneeling to finish this off. Now, tuck your toes under and then lift up into a modified down dog. So I don't have straight legs here because all I'm going to feel is an aggressive hamstring stretch. Instead, I want you guys to get a lovely stretch through your spine. So the knees are bent, the bum is in the air, the head is nice and relaxed. Now, nod your head yes a couple of times. Shake it no. And then try and relax your jaw. So maybe open your mouth, stick out your tongue. Now keep your feet here. Start to walk your hands towards your feet. Put the feet down and just hang. You can see here my knees are still bent. I'm going to grab my elbows and just gently swing from side to side like a rag doll, completely relaxed. Now find the centre, let the arms go. You're going to nod your head yes and then shake it no. And then I just want you to straighten out your legs for me and just see where you can get to with those hands. So reach down towards the floor. Feel the stretch going up the back of your legs and breathe. 3, 2. Now soften the knees and very slowly just start to roll all the way back up to standing, tucking that tailbone under, scooping in the belly button until you make it all the way up to the top. Roll your shoulders back and down, shake out your wrists, and give yourselves a massive round of applause. So thank you so much for joining in with my class. I really appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed it. I would love to see a sweaty selfie of you in the group and to hear how you found the class. Remember that there are loads of events on the schedule and you can go to as many as you want to, so make sure that you check them out. Maybe go grab a quick drink of water, have a quick break, and at 3:30 I'll be back for a Q&A, so make sure you send through any questions that you might have. And also, if you enjoyed this class, these classes are live streamed every single day, so you can join those classes by downloading the Pilates PT app, or you can follow me on Instagram at the Pilates PT, where you can find out all about what we do. And I'd love to see you in a class again, and enjoy the rest of your day.